Hello, morning everybody. Uh, how are we doing? Got a kind of group here. It'd be great. We're going to do this as a kind of group session, so it'd be great if anybody wanted to turn their camera on. If you don't, that's also okay. I'd love it if we could have a bit of back and forth conversation to help us kind of direct the chat in the best way possible. But basically today we're going to go through a rundown of BugHerd. Milton, how are you? Um, yeah, go through a rundown of BugHerd. I'll kind of walk through, answer specific questions. So we've got a group that's a little bit split between some are people trialing, some have never seen BugHerd, and some are kind of actual current customers. So I want to make this as interactive as possible. Full disclosure: this is the first time I've done one like this, so I'll be finding my way through it as well. As a starting point, I guess, Wilton, you're on camera. Where are you, mate?
I'm in Ann Arbor, Michigan, for representing Doc Network. We do electronic medical health records for camps, daycares, and schools.
Nice. So, agency or internal, like team in an larger org? What's the?
Sorry, what was that again?
Say, are you an agent? Are you an agency or like you work inside a company?
Yeah, I am a implementation specialist for their SaaS application.
Oh, yeah, okay, nice, nice. It's fairly anyone else, if you don't feel comfortable jumping on a thing, feel free to drop in, where you are and industry. If you're an agency or we do a lot of online learning, a lot of internal teams, SaaS apps as well. Feel free to drop it in the chat. So the chat's open. If anyone has questions as we go along, you can use the either raise your hand physically, Walton, if you feel like it, or we can use the in Zoom. There's a little more button on the meeting controls. I'll just demo it for you, which will allow you to raise your hand, and I can see that, or otherwise just drop a question into the chat, and I'll get to it at the end of the session. I'll also have some opportunity for Q&A as well. So. Other than that, I'll just get straight into it quickly. I'm Stephen. I'm the CEO of BugHerd. Been in this game. I've been at BugHerd now probably 7 years, I think. Little backstory is I didn't found the company. I was actually had an agency, and we were one of the very first customers of BugHerd quite a while ago. So yeah, worked in kind of web development. We had an application development agency. Worked in that space for quite a while, and found BugHerd to be a super useful tool. And so fast forward 10 years later, here I am as a shareholder and CEO. So it's a problem that I understand. Morning, Richard. It's a problem I understand quite well, and something that I really want to share with it all. So Richard, just quickly, if you have any questions as we go along, feel free to either raise your hand or chuck them as a chat, and I'll get to them there as well. So yeah, I will show BugHerd to us. Like BugHerd, really, what we do is we tackle a universal challenge in the development process, and that's bridging that communication gap between development teams and often non-technical clients or stakeholders. So when someone says, something very vague like, "Hey, there's an issue on this page," as people responsible for fixing that problem, we spend a lot of time trying to work out, like precious time, trying to work out exactly what they're saying. And they often don't have the language to describe the problem that we need. And so what we do at BugHerd is we transform that kind of vagueness into something actionable. So you get really better outcomes for both yourself and your stakeholders, which is really better kind of project outcomes overall. But I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to start showing. So here we go. So I'll just demo. I'll go through a few stages of BugHerd's demo. Let me just move everyone back where I can see them. We have so this is us on a demo website. Sorry, I'm just fixing my Zoom window. It's gone kind of weird here. All right, so this is BugHerd. It's really this little kind of toggle that we see on the website. I can kind of move it around quickly if I need to, as in move it up and down. BugHerd can be made to appear on a website one of a couple of ways. So you can either install it via JavaScript, which you install into the header of the website, similar like a Google Analytics tag, or we can use a browser extension. So, and that really is a question about how much access you have to the code base. So we have extensions for all of the main browser types. And as I said, you can also use the JavaScript directly. But BugHerd's quite simple. When we open this up, see this big blue button, this just allows us to leave a piece of feedback. This is really fundamentally what your client or stakeholder will be doing, or yourself. We click this blue button and then we want to go and highlight the piece on the page that we want to leave a bit of feedback. So for instance, this is not a great heading. Can we change the heading? And we can make this very simple. Sorry about my typing. Create this piece of feedback. That's it. 1 second, very quick. And we see what we've done is we leave this little pin here. If I click this pin, I can see there's a piece of feedback, the heading, and the data that we capture it, which is where a lot of the back and forth goes with that non-technical person. We have a screenshot rendered in the exact browser that they were using. And we also capture kind of all this like magic technical detail, which is again, where a bunch of back and forth questions go on. So exactly what page they were on, what browser they were using, where on the website they were looking, what they were looking at. And so, this kind of single thing alone saves a lot of that kind of back and forth that disappears off into email. And then very importantly, we can have a conversation with them. So any comments that we want to make. So, can I get a new copy? I can mention someone in the team, new copy, create this task. So I create the question. And so they'll get a notification requesting the new copy. They respond. All of that back and forth gets attached to the issue itself. So what we're dealing with here is all about context. We're both looking at exactly the same thing. The client or stakeholder or person in your business who's responsible for leaving feedback, they don't, you're not asking them to go into another application like go into Jira and create a ticket for you or Asana or whatever. They just go to their website and they interact with you via the website itself, which is all they really want. They want to make a request, as I said, can we change this copy here? And then your team gets all of the information they need to resolve that issue. We can have private comments as well. So this is comments that only our team can see. Sorry, again, my typing. It's very early here, by the way. We're in Australia and it's just gone 6 a.m. So my brain is still waking up. So you see here we have this comment is a private comment. So my team will see it, but the client or stakeholder won't see that comment itself. So, really that's the kind of simplicity of it. So a couple of other things, I guess, when I create a task, we can also annotate this screenshot. So if I want to, kind of highlight other bits that are not highlighted by the pin, I can do that. We have also these kind of, I can assign, project management features, which I can even assign to someone in this, directly by mentioning them in the task. Get new copy, and they will be assigned this task as I create it. So all very simple, takes seconds. From the stakeholder's perspective, as I said, it's all about context, and then we capture all of the information that your team need to resolve that issue. A couple of other things you'll see here is we see this blue one, which will create a screenshot, this tagged page will create a screenshot of the page itself. So there'll be no pin. So it's just a full page screenshot. And then we can also record video feedback. It doesn't always play with Zoom, so I won't demo that to you. But it just allows me to record a video of myself kind of talking over the page. This blue tag and element button probably makes up for us about 95% of all of the tasks we create. So, it does most of the job. These two are just there for kind of very specific circumstances, but people certainly need them. That's really the first bit of BugHerd. Any questions on that, which is the feedback process? It's really the most important part in a way. Before I move on, either any specific questions you might have, happy to answer them now. Oh, we're good. All right. So what we do then is, so it's really about capturing feedback. As I said, super simple process, and that's part of the magic. We also give you the tools to kind of manage that feedback. So I can look at what the task list here is via the site itself. I can see the feedback on this page. I can see if there's feedback on other pages on this site. and who I can sort this by say who it's assigned to. As I say, this is Kramer, this was not assigned. Things like due date, severity, I can look at that via the website. So severity I didn't show actually, but so if I were to mark this as in terms of severity as critical, again the pin will go red. We don't allow, just as an FYI, we don't allow clients, as in the stakeholder, to set severities. That's done by the team. We know that if that were to occur, all of the pins would be red. So that's a thing that the team can do. And the client, I will show the client experience, but it's just a kind of slightly cut down version of everything that I just showed you then. But when we want to then actually manage one of these things, so we send, when a piece of feedback is captured in BugHerd, we send it off to our task board, so which looks like this. So you can see here, Kanban view, we have full control over the workflow of this. So I can change any of these column headers. I can drag and drop these columns into different states. I can add new columns. So total control over how we want to kind of manage that workflow. We can see that this is a critical task. If I open this task, I get the exact sidebar view that we had on the website itself. So again, I can open this screenshot. I can see the screenshot rendered in the exact browser that the person or the stakeholder, when they left the feedback, was using. Again, if I go, I can see all the kind of comment stream and these technical details. So, again, which is where we save all that back and forth, and where things get lost in email chains or spreadsheets, it's all captured here, which is that comment stream and what browser they were using, exactly what website they were on, and we give you all of that information that you need. So this is really, if you think about it, primarily where the team live is this side of it, and your clients and stakeholders interact just with you via their website. In terms of the Kanban board, all drag and drop. We can move things around and assign things to people from here. So we can see this one has a comment on it. So it's all, and you've got a little comment icon that if it's unread, you'll see a little red dot on it as well. I can assign these to people here. So again, if we want to, someone could be Jerry Seinfeld. We can set due dates, and all of these things will just be reflected visually. Fairly standard table stakes these days, and quite simple, very easy process to kind of manage feedback. A couple of things, I guess, when feedback is captured. So I'm part of the team. So when I capture it, it goes into this backlog here. When a stakeholder captures it, I'll go, so as in what we call a client user captures it, it goes here into this kind of feedback tab, which is just denoted by this little icon. This tab allows, it's like a triage. So I get to effectively have a kind of conversation, or with it. Often you'll get things that are reported that are outside of scope. So we're actually not going to work on that. We can, I can just archive something directly from here, or if I want to assign it to the task board, okay, that's the thing we're going to do. I'll put it into the workflow. And the reason we do that is primarily because you don't want, often, particularly when you're doing like releases QA, you can end up with a lot of tasks. Not all of those things you're going to do. Some are small, some have already been done, and it's just a way of kind of triaging that, so you're not kind of spamming the backlog too heavily. Again, all fairly simple from a process. As I mentioned, we have a couple of user types. So I kind of touched on, we have members. So everything I'm seeing here is like the members view. So this is the team member themselves, the people responsible for doing the work. We also have client users. So clients, very simple to invite. And this is really kind of stakeholders. So this is kind of where we set up the project. We have, it's in this websites and files section, so which is at the top here. So these are the kind of URLs. If we're using the browser extension, these are the URLs that BugHerd will appear on. If we've got the JavaScript installed, BugHerd will appear anywhere where the JavaScript is installed. I didn't mention this this little sidebar tab here, and probably particularly for you, well, if you're doing like in SaaS, it will only render to people who are BugHerd users who have access to that project. So not all people will see it if it's on your website. However, you can set it up so all people see it. So we do have a kind of public feedback version of that as well. So you can get feedback from kind of end users, but that's a kind of slightly secondary component to that, but happy to show you that at some stage. So yeah, fairly simple. Client users, if I want to invite someone, I just want to share this project with them. So it's as simple as I'll just copy this. I'm just going to change my share window for you. So I'm just going to copy that link, and then so as I said, I'm now in Edge. Just give you a different view. So the client will come through to this thing. I'm actually already registered as a client here. But like effectively the first experience that they would get is exactly this. So there'll just be a couple of tooltips in it. They just create the task. So, create a client task, and it asks them to kind of leave their name and then their email address when they create this task. You see here that I can only see one task as the client, so I'm registered as a client here. Also, when I kind of create these tasks, there's none of this kind of sidebar, as in the what do we call it, the project management features, assigning to people, things like that, don't exist in this client view. It's really just about them creating feedback. So they can attach files, they can still annotate the screenshot, things like that. And then when that task is created, I'll go back to BugHerd. So they're not asked to create an account or anything. It's just a simple thing. You share that URL, and they go and leave a piece of feedback on the URL. Very simple then. That piece of feedback will come in here. I can now see here's this client task, and I can simply, again, kind of mention and talk to, have comments with the client. I can say, okay, this is the thing we're going to do. I'll mark it, but I'll add it back to the backlog, and now here it is, client task. So it's very 1 second process for clients or stakeholders to be able to leave feedback for you. As I said, you just share that one URL. Once they've done that once, as you saw for me, I just went back and BugHerd already appeared for me because I was already registered. One other view, I guess, from a client's perspective is this Kanban board. The client, often, and it sort of depends on what plan you're on, but the client can access this kind of view, I guess, of the BugHerd Kanban board. So by going to bugherd.com. And so again, I'm already logged in, and I don't have to kind of redo that. Oh no, I'm not. Now I've got to work out the email I put in for that thing. 1 second. All right. I will live demos. See, now I've got now I'm in a challenging view of this. Hang on 1 sec. Let me just do that. I'll just do it this way. Sorry. Sorry. Demo. Well, now log in, should work. So I'll get a slightly different view because I'll take us into one of our projects. So they're obviously on various organizations here. So this is what a client's view of this is. So I have access to kind of a number of projects. If I were to kind of say, look on one of these. So we can see any websites here attached. So these are like files, any design files. So we also do feedback on design files. So, and it's very similar to kind of what we saw in BugHerd. It's a very similar experience. If I were to kind of click on this, it'll load the image, and I can simply kind of, leave a pin or a piece of feedback on this, on this image. So design. Create that feedback. My view of the task board is limited. So again, these are the files. if I click here, I can see the kind of feedback that I can see. And if I would click on this Kanban board, there's nothing is in the backlog of this project at this point in time. So clients can, if you want them to, be able to assign tasks, move tasks into the, so change the status of tasks. So that's an optional setting that you have. And again, they see that. Now, if I had created the task, so I'll go back to my project. If I had created the task, the client wouldn't see it primarily. So it's created by a member. The client doesn't have automatic visibility of that task. They only see tasks that they or other clients have created. However, I can set that task to visible. So where I can say here by members and clients, if I change that, then simply that client would then be able to see that task as well. So you have this kind of control, I guess, over what they can see, what they can't. So that can be done via private comments, and it can also be done via how you create the task. But they will always be able to see tasks created by themselves or other clients. So yeah, they have a lot of access. The reason we give clients access to the Kanban board is primarily to give them a view. What we try and do is we try and minimize the back and forth that you have to do with them. So to give them a view, if they've made a request with you, they can see the status of that task as it moves through the project. So you don't have to kind of keep updating them. They also get notifications and things like that around it. But often, one of the most requested things we had was, hey, we're sick of having to tell the client the status of these things. Can we give them a view of the board? And so they get that view of the board, but they get the view of the board of tasks that they've created or tasks that you specifically want them to access to. Casey, in terms of your questions, are clients still able to edit their feedback once it has been moved to the task board? Yes. So they have access to the task. They can change the comment, what do we call it? Change the description and anything like that. So, as I said, you can give them the ability to change the statuses, which means they can kind of drag and drop. Often what you'll see here is this might be a client review status, something like this. And so, it's in that column. And then you want them at this point to be able to say, all right, I'm going to mark this as done. So it acts as a kind of review process. And, in that sense. So, yeah, that's really, like I said, the kind of client view of things. Touched on assets. A few of you may be interested, I guess, in integrations. So we integrate with, a bunch of other project management tools, I guess, where you can send feedback from BugHerd out to others. Main ones for us are, like everyone else, are probably Jira, Monday. We use Linear ourselves. So, often BugHerd works in conjunction with these tools. So you can send every piece of feedback that is created. You can set it up so that if I create any piece of feedback or anytime a client creates it, it's automatically sent off to, let's say, Jira. Or you have the option that you can send it on a specific column, or you can do it on only on a singular task. And again, so the way we would use that, for instance, is that obviously we do a huge amount of development work in Linear that doesn't touch BugHerd. So, we use BugHerd for what it's very good at, which is kind of operating between us and, say, our marketing team or external agencies that we use. And a lot of that stuff stays in I guess, in BugHerd itself. And then there are key things where, for instance, we use BugHerd on BugHerd, as you can see here, where we want that to go into our development team. So we specifically send that task, not all tasks, but a single task off to Linear for our team to be able to handle in a different place. So most of our customers use them together in that way. You have a lot of options. We also integrate from, if any developers here, with GitHub and others, so that you can just open and close tasks directly from the commits, etc. So you can kind of control the status of a task as you're making commits to the project folder. Other things, harvest, so we have some time tracking. We also integrate with, you don't set it up this way, but if you want kind of session recording, so LogRocket and not Hotjar, the other one, where will automatically, if you have one of those installed, it will automatically pick up the session and attach like the session ID from, let's say you're using LogRocket, attach a session ID from LogRocket to the task. So you can, there's a relationship between that person's session in LogRocket and the task that's created in BugHerd. So yeah, you have a lot of control in that sense. And then other final thing, I guess, is really just around projects. So we have, if I go into, so you set up projects, I guess, in BugHerd, the way you do in many places. So I can create folders. I can have these set up. I can disable a project. So if I don't want kind of any more feedback on that task, I can just, on that project, I can disable it. So it stops the feedback process. So BugHerd will no longer be accepting, it won't appear in the sense that the client can leave feedback from it. I'm still able to then kind of manage, look at the tasks and manage those as they go along. But so that's a kind of way of managing, ongoing if we're done with a review round. Over the next little while, we will be building reviews, as in rounds of review into the project as well. So something to look forward to in the future. And okay, so a question around Zendesk integration. So we do have a Zendesk integration. It's via we haven't done Zendesk. There is a Zendesk integration. Sorry, I've got to go back into a project. Just do it on here. Just to give you a view of also what the Kanban board looks like when it's got a lot more stuff on it. So this is a kind of much more active project. We have a lot of activity. You can see, as I said, kind of unread comments here. And what the board looks like as it's kind of being managed. In terms of integrations, Zendesk, I think there's one actually in the Zendesk marketplace rather than in here, but it's a fairly simple process where, again, it's like a task is created in BugHerd and it can be sent through to Zendesk specifically. Yeah, I guess in terms of other stuff, we really kind of do into managing. So as an individual, BugHerd is built on the idea of projects. So if I'm an individual and I want to know across projects, all of the things I've got to work on, if we go here, there's this dashboard. And so on the dashboard, when it loads, so I can see this is my tasks across all projects, or I can also see all tasks across all projects, right? So this allows me then, if I'm a manager and I want to filter by, who this is assigned to, I could say, all right, I want to go and say what tasks is assigned to Alex in our team across all of his projects. Conversely, if I want to just look at my tasks, these will be any tasks that I have, and then from here I can I can filter these by due dates, or I can set due dates, and I have all of the filter things. So it's a way for me to be able to see very easily what all of the things that I have to work on, I guess. And that's kind of 99% of BugHerd. We can see we also have this kind of just in terms of filtering. So in terms of the Kanban board, I can filter by a whole bunch of things. So for instance, who it's assigned to, who created it, what if I was at or who's been mentioned in it, site status, severity, and then things like tags. But I can also just simply, we have this kind of tags. Okay, I want to see anything that's related to pricing. I can click on here. If I want to see anything that's related to features, so I can kind of filter this quite simply by I have a lot of control over how I display this. And this is used for if I'm doing, let's say I'm doing content reviews or something like that, it might be home pages. I might set it up for different language. I can tag by different languages. There's a lot of ways you can kind of set it up for different workflows. And final thing is really around notifications. So we send notifications off to, you have a fair bit of control over how notifications are sent. You can access that if anyone's interested as well. We do dark mode, but if I have a fair bit of control over kind of notifications, so I can change my notification status. Where in here via my profile, And so I can get a notification anytime a new task is created. I can get update on any tasks that's related to me, or I also can get these project updates, which are really a summary of the project since the last time I received that. So it includes like when new tasks were created, comments, things moved to done. I can get that on a daily basis. I can get that on a weekly basis. You can even do hourly if you want, or turn it off entirely. We also have the option that your clients or stakeholders can receive this project update. That's a thing that you can set in the project settings as well, which is just in here. So if we're going to, so we have kind of client permissions, so I can change the things that clients can see via there. If I want the JavaScript for the project, I just go to this install BugHerd. We can copy the JavaScript. We can get the browser extensions. We do have a direct WordPress plugin, but they give you access to pretty much any ecosystem that you may be developing in. And that is really summarizes BugHerd. It's a fairly self-explanatory product, I guess. We do a couple of things that we are very focused on, as I said, which is really around managing that stakeholder communication piece. So it's about giving them the easiest way to capture feedback, to leave you feedback. They just go to their website and interact. It's then the second very part is we give you very simple tools for kind of managing that process through, and also managing the client through the development process. And yeah, that I guess summarizes the BugHerd experience. So I'm going to stop talking and hand over if anyone has any questions, I guess, more specifically.
Yeah, I have a question. So, hey, thank you for doing this. My name is Chris. I am the creative director from weather.com for the Weather Channel here in US. The good news is our company went through the whole procurement process, and we just became your customer.
Yes,
So
yes, I know, yeah.
about a month ago. Yes, thank you. But I used BugHerd before my previous life, and I told my team, like, we need this. We really need this tool. So we got it. But then I've been working with your team because I realized there's some things that needs to be fixed. I'm working with your team right now. But my question is, especially on Jira integration.
Yep.
Because we cannot avoid Jira in this company.
Yeah.
So we have to use it. And the integration, though, I think it could definitely be better. Because what's happening now is I report it in BugHerd, but then it pushes the ticket to Jira, and then I'm opening up a ticket, and then I have to fill out. I start from BugHerd and I finish the ticketing process in Jira. And I was talking to your teams like, hey, it would be great if we pull the data fields from Jira into BugHerd, so that if you could start and finish it in BugHerd, that would be like ideal experience. So I was just wondering, is there any planning in your side to do that?
There absolutely is. We are going to do that next quarter. So as in, we're going to rebuild our Jira integration from the ground up.
Awesome.
Yeah, and really just to answer some of those more, particularly for Jira, Jira is one of those extremely customizable, bits of software, and so Jira specifically, we will build it much more in a way that allows you kind of a deeper customization. So Chris, I know you've spoken to Richard, so we'll be in touch with you through that process, and anyone else who wants to help us kind of manage that. But that's scheduled basically for Q1 next financial year, which is for us July to September. So watch this space, and we intend to improve that significantly.
Great, yeah, and I'll be more than help out with more future like debugging and recommendation for the features. So I'll be happy to work with your team.
Yeah, great, appreciate it. Anyone else, Welton or Casey? Anyone else? Any specific questions? Richard?
Yeah, we do have just one quick question. I've used BugHerd for about 9 years, believe it or not.
Yeah, nice. Welcome.
But I haven't. We mainly used it with our internal teams.
Yep.
But haven't used it a whole lot with external clients. But we realized, like, even our own team, so we probably have about 35 more people that need eyeballs on certain things, and they could utilize BugHerd for different things that they don't utilize it for now. So we were considering kind of treating them like clients so
Yep.
that because they don't need access to manage things, they just need the ability within our company. Like for instance, a sales rep notices that a display ad isn't showing on a certain page, then he can just bug that. And the great thing about that is we don't have to ask them for a URL, which every time they send in any other kind of correspondence, you all automatically have to say what URL you're talking about.
Yeah.
So that's what one of the things I really love about BugHerd is it captures the URL, screenshots, all that, so you know where they are on the page, which this will make a lot of difference for us. But my question is, this morning, I had this other scheduled meeting about BugHerd, using BugHerd, and as we created these new client accounts, right, it made it super simple because once they get the email and click on it, they are automatically logged in.
Yep.
Which was a super great interface. It was very easy. What I don't know is after I'm logged in, so I did logged in incognito as a guest user or a client, right? And what I don't know is how long I'm logged in for. And because I can see I can log out, but then if I log out, I don't have a password.
Yep.
So the convenience of not having to have a password is now like, well, what do I do how long can I, my question is, I guess, is how long is that cookie or whatever set that keeps you logged in? How long is that
Yep.
set for on by default?
Yeah. So we had to do a lot of work around this just because ITP over the last couple of years, like they're kind of moving towards a more cookieless
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
So we had to rebuild a whole bunch of that, the way that works. I guess the best thing to think about is that if it ever expires, and it's generally expired by either the browser itself, or as in, let's say you're in Firefox or Safari particularly, which treat it a bit more strictly. Chrome's a bit more open, where they will kind of, you haven't interacted with us for a while, and so it will go
Right.
we think. Any of the emails that we sent that are sent to the person, if they click on like just a notification, it will reauth them through the process.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Right.
if it
That's
ever
kind of what I
occurs in
thought. Yeah.
So
That makes
anytime
sense.
they interact with a task, basically they are reauth again and again and again, and that just keeps that, keeps their engagement with us fresh.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, somebody who was working with me on this was asking how we could manage that and what link we could send them to. And so, I tested and you're able to go to just bugherd.com and click the login key. And if you're
Yep.
already logged in, you'll continue to be there. And then testing it from an email did exactly what you said. It would open it back up. I just want to make sure I had that clear. But you don't know, it's going to differ based on the browser, but say most 95% of our users are in Chrome. What do you know the default duration of that?
No, I can find out. We keep it pretty long though, because the main experience for us, if you think people use us across like particularly development teams, right? They might have 4 or 5 browsers open. They're using it over a long period of time.
Exactly.
So we generally don't expire them from our end from memory, but I can get back to you with the thing. But it's really now you're dealing in the, I guess, as I said, with some of the Chrome have actually said they're not going to do it now after telling us for years that they were going to do it. So we had to go and rebuild things, and then they went, we're not doing it. But yeah, if it expires, any link that we have sent, so any email to that person, that if they were to click on that, they would be reauth.
Okay, cool. Yeah, great. Perfect. Thank you.
No problem. Welton, good question there. Just waiting for it to.
Yeah, so I was looking at the integration. We're not really looking to create things in BugHerd, which is nice, but more of actually view tasks in BugHerd from our service desk tool, so that we can kind of, see what a client has out there, see what the status of it is, if it's closed, if it's open, what it is, and then be able to quickly link to those tasks straight from our Zendesk versus having to open up BugHerd and search for those tasks. Once we are in Zendesk and we know what the client is, we'd like to see what's available out there for work to do, so we can actually just click on those and actually head straight to the task and work on it. We had someone build something out like this for us, but they got absorbed by another company, and then they shut our integration down. So, but we're looking to have something like that with our service desk tools, that we can actually see the task, because as those tickets come in or they're linked, we'd like to be able to know what work we have without having to go to BugHerd, search for the client, and then search for the task. We have everything there and see a full status of what's there.
Yeah, great. So what I might take this one as a separate thing, and maybe follow up with you, and we'll just jump on a call and talk through what your needs are. And certainly, if it's a thing that's of interest, we can definitely look at building it ourselves.
Sounds great.
Excellent. Any other questions? All right. No, we'll wrap it up then. Well, thanks everyone for your time. Enjoyed it. I will send out an email afterwards as well, just to get some feedback on the format. As I said, this is the first time we've done this as a kind of group version of this. So trying to learn myself and see how we can improve and make things better. So thanks everyone for your time. We will also send a recording of the call if anyone wants it. And yeah, really appreciate your time today. And I'm going to go and drink some coffee because it's very early.
All right. Thank you so much.
Have a great day. Thank you. Appreciate it.